Hey, welcome back. In this listening exercise, we have someone being interviewed. We will, like always, listen to a short section, review everything that was said, and check your comprehension. So this person speaking has just been asked a question. We're going to try and guess what she was asked based on what she said. So there's three choices here. What was your main role? What are your best skills? Or how do you create a good work environment? Remember, we're not going to hear this. This is just her answer to one of these questions. Try and work out which one it was and try not to look at the subtitles. Here we go.
So originally, I was just managing one department. I would help them get underway with various projects and give them additional support and resources when necessary. Then it grew to two, and I was in charge of approving budgets for both teams. That was my main role. The work environment was generally good, but I did find myself taking care of employee relations from time to time. This technically wasn't one of my responsibilities, but I suppose as a manager, I took it on myself to keep things positive. To summarize though, it would be financing and budgeting.
All right, so she was probably asked something along the lines of what was your main role? That was the main focus that she was talking about. We'll go through it and make sure we understand why. These are all of the other questions we're going to answer after we've looked through everything that was said. Pause the video. Excuse me, hay fever. Pause the video now though if you'd like to take a quick look before we go through everything else. But if that's okay, we will get started. So she said, so originally I was just managing one department. I would help them get underway with various projects and give them additional support and resources when necessary. That was a very big sentence, but saying to get underway with something simply means to begin a task or an action with focus on the beginning stage. It's getting something moving, it's getting some traction. Before we get this project underway, we need to set a deadline. So before everything gets started and gets moving, we need to do this thing first. You can also say to set something in motion. I like that one as well. It has the idea of things moving forward. So she's helping a department get various projects started and give them additional support and resources when necessary. Then it grew to two. A bit unclear there, but it means two departments. First it was one, now it's grown to two, and I was in charge of improving budgets for both teams. Teams, another way of saying a department or a group of staff, that was my main role. Again, I think this is why she was answering the question from the warm-up, what was your main role? Then, oh, I've got an empty slide. That means I get to drink some coffee. Does your home country have iced coffee? Is it popular? I'd like to know. All right, so second page. The work environment was generally good. So now she's talking about something slightly different, but I did find myself taking care of employee relations from time to time. Employee relations is usually something that HR or human resources would take care of, making sure that there are no conflicts between staff, making sure everybody's okay, there's no problems. So she said she found herself doing this job, this extra job. So it means to realize you're doing something without meaning to or without being asked to do it. That's more what the point is here. I found myself eating the leftover cake just because it was there. We've all been there. So this is not a conscious decision. This is just like, oh, I just found myself doing this thing. Notice we need to have a verb here to find myself eating the cake, to find myself helping people at work. If you don't have that verb, then you just have the expression to find yourself, which has a kind of spiritual meaning. I went traveling to find myself, to find out more about yourself, emotionally, spiritually. That is completely different, so just watch out for that. This technically wasn't one of my responsibilities, but I suppose as a manager, I took it on myself to keep things positive. So she's saying, this is also something without being asked, but this time it's a conscious decision. So it's quite different to saying to find yourself doing something. She has decided herself to do this task to take responsibility, even though nobody's asking her or expecting her to. She took it on herself to pick up the rubbish in the park. It's not her job, it's not her fault, she didn't put it there, but she just decided herself to do it. That is what she's saying here. She wanted to keep things positive, the employee relations, so even though it's not one of her responsibilities, she did it. Then to summarize though, it would be financing and budgeting. Let's make sure we've understood everything she said and why she said it. So first question, does the speaker say that her main role was in budgeting? Well, that was my main role. That was my main role. What did she say? Approving budgets for both teams. Okay, and she also summarized financing and budgeting. So yes, pretty clear. That was her main role. Second question, in her previous role, was she asked to manage staff relationships? Take a look. She said she found herself doing it and it technically wasn't one of her responsibilities. So no, she decided to do it anyway, but she was not asked to. And the last one, if the interviewer asked her, what was your main role? Do you think she answered the question well? Let's have a quick look again at everything she said. She was managing one department, talked about being a manager, giving support. This could be financial support, this could be budgeting support, resources, approving budgets when necessary. Then it grew to 2, so then I was managing more things. She's talking about what she's managing, she's saying what she's in charge of, she said that was her main role. That sounds very clear so far, like she's answering the question. Then she kind of adds a little bit extra. She's talking about another responsibility that was not her main role, but she is kind of making it clear that that wasn't her main role. And then just to be clear, she goes back and summarizes financing and budgeting. That's my answer. So yeah, she gave a little bit of extra information, but I think she answered the question very clearly. She made it very clear what her main role was. Did you answer the questions well? That's the important part. I hope you did, and I hope you found some of the expressions that she used useful. And if you want to keep your studying going for today, it's exactly where you can do it. Have a good day.